Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. Geeky Sparkles is going to be sitting the next couple videos out. She's out and about today, but she will be back later tonight or tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about the trouble that Disney is finding itself in with Star Wars and Marvel. You know, it's really interesting, and I've commented on this before, that for years, many of these media outlets, including Giant Freaking Robot, by the way, one of their writers, dunked on YouTubers, dunked on anybody who had anything negative to say about Disney Star Wars, about how Disney is handling Marvel. And here we are, so many of these media outlets, including Giant Freaking Robot and The Direct, and I think Screen Rant is another one, talking about how Disney is mishandling Star Wars, mishandling Marvel. That there's a massive decline that can no longer be ignored. So I don't know if the checks are bouncing or what the hell is going on here, but we're going to talk about this because it's not hard to fix this situation. All they got to do is go back to the comics that people cared about, adapt that, and move on. But they're not going to do it. You know they're not going to do it. We're going to talk about this new X-Men series. This is actually a Bishop series, War College. Now it is a spin-off series. This is a multiverse, but yeah, they race swapped all the X-Men. They did. So Bishop goes to another universe where all the X-Men are black now, and apparently Storm is white. No, actually, this is from an older comic. People were complaining about Storm looking too white, which I don't disagree with. She's always been pretty dark-skinned, but yeah, so the thing is that people are speculating this is the version of the X-Men they're going to bring to the MCU. Obviously, there are going to be some race swaps in the MCU. It's been talked about before. Now, to be fair, I'm actually okay with Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X. I think he actually would be pretty good. That's just my personal opinion, right? You're definitely allowed to disagree with me on that one. But it does seem like they're trying to lay the groundwork for massive changes to the X-Men or the mutants or whatever they're going to call it. And the thing is really all they have to do is give us this. All you have to do is give us this version of the X-Men. Look at this. This is Alex Ross doing an homage to Jim Lee's classic cover for X-Men #1 from the 90s. This is the team most people remember the best. Just give us comic book accurate X-Men on screen Disney and you will make $1 billion at the box office. I guarantee it. We have not had a comic book accurate X-Men movie yet. If we actually had that and it was good and the casting was right and the story was good, and it would make bank. It would absolutely make bank. But you know, Disney's not going to do that. They're going to go in the opposite direction. They're going to make a bunch of changes to the X-Men. And really the only thing they have left as far as Marvel's concerned to strip mine are two big franchises that are really hard to screw up, but they've been screwed up repeatedly. That would be the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. And I guarantee you Disney is going to drop the ball with both of them. And that's going to be it, right? Because the reason that the rights, for those of you who don't know, the reason that the rights for the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man were all over the place was that back in the 90s, they were the most valuable Marvel franchises. And now the X-Men are a freaking joke. A lot of people dunking on a lot of these changes being made to X-Men. Not this, well, look, this is a multiverse story, right? So that's not that big of a deal. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, you may disagree. But the X-Men in general has been mostly about gender identity and prom, the gala events, and it's very boring. The X-Men comics are very, very boring. And, I've checked out a couple here and there. I actually bought this issue to go through it before doing the video. And this is actually one of the better X-Men books I've read. Lately, it's like at least they actually do stuff. At least Bishop is a badass. He looked like a gay pirate in some of the other recent X-Men books. And Bishop was always supposed to be a badass. So let's talk about all this. Let's talk about all this because they're delaying some of their Marvel movies now. Big delays. I think they're tinkering with it. I think they know they're in trouble. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're almost at 300,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Go out to clownfishtv.com for objective pop culture news. We're going to be announcing a fan support system here pretty soon that we're going to be doing podcasts. We're going to be doing some other stuff, trying to grow our footprint a little bit outside of YouTube. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's talk about this first. We'll talk about Marvel, then we'll talk about Star Wars. Both of these franchises in trouble. Disney's in trouble. Ant-Man and the Wasp apparently is not even going to make $500 million. This is a movie that was supposed to be a direct lead-in to Secret Wars, and it's been a huge box office flop. MODOK definitely did not help, right? Definitely did not help. But people are over it. They're over Disney Marvel, I think. Every show has declined in viewership since Scarlet Witch, since WandaVision, and Loki, and I think people are just over it. So the Direct has this. They're pushing back the release dates of some of their shows. And again, I think part of it is they might be retinkering it a little bit after Ant-Man 3 failed miserably, or they don't know what they're going to do yet. I mean, because right now there's no excitement going into phase 5, phase 6. Are they in phase 5? I don't know what the hell phase they're in. Nobody cares. Going into Secret Wars, nobody cares, right? So Disney Plus removes MCU Phase 5 release windows, signaling big delays coming from the Direct. Again, if you said that there was a problem with Marvel, and you said there was a problem with Star Wars, just a couple of years ago, you were literally called a Nazi. There's this one idiotic podcast out there, Rewriting Ripley, I think, is one of them. And they were literally trying to tie anybody who was a detractor of Disney to the alt-right. I am not kidding. And I'm really surprised they did not get sued. They actually had us on the list too. I'm like, what the hell? You're very, very lucky you're not bigger, because I probably would have called my lawyer. But anyway, yeah, so this is coming from the Direct. Disney Plus made a big change on its website that heavily affects the release timeline of the MCU's upcoming Phase 5 streaming shows. After The Marvels was delayed to November from July, many fans wondered if more Phase 5 projects would be delayed. It was previously reported that a number of Phase 5 MCU shows would be delayed, with some even being pushed out of this year's lineup. Marvel Studios UK also removed a promo that highlighted Phase 5 releases this year, strongly indicating delays are inevitable. Disney Plus's official website changed the release window of several MCU Disney Plus shows from Phase 5 to coming soon, indicating that the shows could be delayed alongside shifts in Marvel Studios' upcoming schedule. It's called Panic. Panic at the Mickey Mouse Disco. That's what's going on. They're panicked because the last couple MCU movies have not done well. And the only shot they have at making bank off of the MCU this year is probably Guardians 3. But the Marvels is not going to make that much money. Thor didn't make that much money. Even Black Panther 2. They thought for sure that one was going to hit $1 billion easy, and it didn't happen. It got close, got like $850 million. But I can't imagine why a lot of people didn't want to rush out and watch a Black Panther movie without the Black Panther, without Chadwick Boseman in it. 2023 was supposed to be a big year for the MCU, as it marks the start of Phase 5 with 3 movies and 5 Disney Plus shows. However, given that the studio was unhappy with Phase 4 due to negative feedback, just the Nazis, right? It was just the angry Nazis. Marvel Studios and Disney are reportedly reevaluating future releases. One of the first dominoes to fall is What If Season 2, officially being delayed after its early 2023 tag was changed, coming soon. Echo suffered a big delay. Agatha, because everybody wanted this show. Agatha, Coven of Chaos was rumored to release after Daredevil Born Again, which is likely sometime 2025. Loki Season 2 is now coming soon. So that means that that's been delayed too. X-Men 97. Now, this is what I'm concerned about. Again, going back to the X-Men, I was looking forward to this. I was at first, then I wasn't, and then I was again, because the showrunner actually said that he wasn't going to hire anybody to work on the show who wasn't an actual fan of classic X-Men. But now it's being pushed back too. Claim that the animated Marvel show is still slated to release this fall on Disney Plus, but the new update could signal a change of plans for the project. Ironheart already wrapped production. because, you know, everybody loved Ironheart and Black Panther 2. This new update could mean that it will be part of the delays, with it potentially eyeing an early 2024 premiere instead of a fall 2023 timeline. It's going to do as well as Ms. Marvel. It's another, like, you know, teen replacement, you know, show. It's not going to do. I mean, this is some damn big shoes to fill. Robert Downey Jr. Daredevil Born Again is in the midst of filming in New York, and I'm not looking forward to it. I got to be honest, Geeky's not here. I'm not looking forward to it because I know they're going to nerf it. I know they're going to nerf Daredevil. We saw how jokey Daredevil was in She-Hulk, and we're going to get a whole series of that. I'm not looking forward to it. Set to premiere in spring of 2024, a delay could push it back to 2025 to accommodate the other shows that have already been moved. Spider-Man Freshman Year, that was an animated series, I think. It's still slated to be released. Secret Invasion, remember this one? Tied into Captain Marvel. Yeah, nobody remembers this. It's still slated for a spring 2023 release. I forgot it existed. Some have theorized it will be Marvel's first Disney Plus show to premiere this year, potentially after The Mandalorian Season 3. Due to the new update, it could be pushed back. Some have pointed out that Phase 5 is off to a bad start with Ant-Man 3's negative reviews. Marvel Studios' host of delays might end up being a good thing due to the overwhelming number of content, number of shows from Phase 5. Overall, taking a step back could be the key to finding the right formula and consistency in order to replicate what made the MCU successful during the Infinity Saga. Well, you need the characters and the actors and the writers and the directors that made the Infinity Saga popular. You know, Disney thinks that the brand is worth more than the people working on it. They think that the Marvel brand is just like, and look, it's the arrogance, the sheer fucking hubris of Bob Iger, who said when they opened Galaxy's Edge that people were just going to show up because it's Star Wars. It doesn't matter what kind of Star Wars it is. It doesn't matter if it's off-brand Star Wars. It's Star Wars. All he's got to do is say, hey guys, it's open, and people are going to flock to it, and that did not happen. Galaxy's Edge was a huge flop at first. It was a huge flop at first. He didn't understand what the problem was. It was Star Wars, right? No, it wasn't. It was off-brand Star Wars. The Mandalorian Season 3 proves Star Wars is in trouble. As new report reveals, fans are tuning out, coming from Giant Freaking Robot. Again, one of their writers dunked on one of our writers on Pirates and Princesses and basically implied that we were rumor mongers and part of the alt-right or some shit like that. And now they're saying basically the same things we were saying, which is so weird too. On Twitter, Geeky got into it with the guy from DSMY. He was coming after us, sending his people after us when we were dunking on Galaxy's Edge when it first came out. We were too negative. We were too negative. And I think once he realized he wasn't going to get invited to the cupcake party because he wasn't the right kind of person, then he started to agree with us. Now he's all negative all the time. Because I'll tell you the truth. The reality is there's no real views to be had if you're on Team Disney at this point. If you're a content creator. And look, we've been dunking on Disney when it wasn't fashionable to dunk on Disney. So obviously we're not doing it just for the clicks. But if you're a pixie duster, you're not going to get a lot of views because right now the public is fed up with Disney. They're fed up with Disney on so many levels, whether it's boredom or they're angry over the political stances or whatever the deal is. The general public is pissed off at Disney. They're over Disney. People have decided just to walk away from Star Wars, walk away from Marvel. It's easier that way. It's easier that way than just watch the thing just continue to decline. And, I've decided I just don't care. I don't care anymore. I was angry for a long time. Now I'm just kind of watching with popcorn because I've realized that Marvel stopped being Marvel, at least Marvel Comics stopped being Marvel Comics probably around 2010, 2011. And that's it. That's, but there's how many decades of comics that I can read from the era when Marvel was actually Marvel before Disney got a hold of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to read the new stuff. Same with Star Wars. As soon as George Lucas sold it to Disney, it stopped being Star Wars. Star Wars was his baby. He sold it. You've got a couple of people, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, who respect what George did, but the rest of the yahoos over at Lucasfilm, You know, they don't care. And all Disney cares about is making money. You know, George Lucas wanted to tell stories. Disney wants to create product to pad its bottom line. That's kind of the difference. Anyway, Mandalorian season 3 debuted with fewer viewers than the Book of Boba Fett. That is catastrophic. And with no announcements from Disney about its success, the numbers look disappointing. Yeah, normally they're crowing about the success, and it's not. 2023 feels like it's just starting, and already the year has been filled with bad news for Star Wars, from movies being canceled to the flagship Galactic Voyager. Galactic Voyage? You mean the Galactic Star Cruiser? Experience being cut back. Nothing has gone right in the galaxy far, far away. Again, this is Disney's mismanagement. The Bespin Bulletin recently shared a report that not even The Mandalorian Season 3 has been able to reverse the downward slide. What was once the most successful Star Wars series debuted 28% lower than Obi-Wan. And worst of all, behind the much derided Book of Boba Fett. Unlike cable and broadcast shows, ratings for streaming services are kept private. That's true. We talked about this the other day. Compare that to the quick press release celebrating Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and they're not saying anything. Not saying anything about Mandalorian Season 3 being a huge success. Disney knows the true number, and it's bad for the company. Oh my God, giant freaking robot, you must be alt-right. Disney knows the true numbers. It's bad for the company if they aren't saying anything. Considering the declining box office numbers for the last trilogy, it makes sense that Star Wars isn't as popular as it used to be. But if that malaise is starting to impact the television shows, it shows that no part of the franchise is immune. Even with the decreased viewership, The Mandalorian Season 3 debut was still one of Disney Plus's most watched premieres of all time. And while that's an accolade to be proud of, it pales in comparison to Pedro Pascal's other series. Yeah, The Last of Us is doing very, very well. Now, Lucasfilm turned around and canceled Willow, probably to save some money, save some face. It was not doing well. It was not received well. Supposedly, its audience score went up because a lot of stans on Twitter decided to manipulate the numbers, I guess, because everybody I've talked to, even people that like Disney Star Wars, are like, yeah, Willow was dog shit. It was a terrible show. Hopefully more shows are the solution for Disney, as the company is set to release Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and The Acolyte within the next year, in addition to Andor Season 2. This is damning. No one knows what the future will look like, and worst of all, it appears no one at Disney or Lucasfilm knows either. If they continue down the road that they're going down with Star Wars and Marvel, if they're going to massively change the X-Men and call them the mutants or whatever, like has been rumored, if they're going to massively change the Fantastic Four, like has been rumored, then they can kiss those franchises goodbye as well. It's not hard to get this right. It really isn't that hard to get this right. Just give the fans what they're expecting, do it to the best of your ability, hire the best actors, the best writers, and stop looking out like it's just a damn product. I mean, they rattle off these movie announcements and TV show announcements during their quarterly earnings call because that's all this shit is to them now. Everything that we grew up with, everything that we loved as nerds has just been turned into corporate product. And that's why we are where we are right now with this stuff. And they've hired people recently, especially in Marvel, they've hired people that actively hate the audience. They actively hate the source material. I mean, look at the She-Hulk writers. They did not care at all for Marvel Comics, the source material, the audience, anything. They didn't even care for Kevin Feige. They were dunking on Kevin Feige, and they did it with girlish glee, by the way. And I think it was refreshing. I mean, it's pretty sad when it's refreshing that the guy working on X-Men 97 is basically like, I will not hire you if you do not actually love the X-Men. And there are so many people working at Disney-owned Marvel Comics and Disney-owned Lucasfilm that do not love what they're working on. It's just a gig to them. And if they can dunk on the chuds, and get Twitter clout for that, they're going to do it. To the tune of millions of dollars being lost. Millions and millions and millions of dollars being lost, Disney. So congratulations there. You might have hit those DEI requirements, but you've lost millions and millions of dollars and decades of fan goodwill in the process. I hope it was worth it. I'm going to wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.